hyper-focused way too much and found that there are 7 historical figures who might have actually had ADHD. I'm gonna go through all of these people's ADHD challenges and their ADHD strengths, so you can see how relatable this is, and it's gonna just blow your mind. Number 1, Walt Disney. Founder of Disney, animator, filmmaker who made Mickey Mouse, created an entire theme park. That sounds like something someone with ADHD would do. 22 Academy Awards, most for any individual ever at his time. And he struggled with formal education, but showed artistic talent from a young age. His challenges were, he was restless and had difficulty staying in school. Dropped out of high school at 16. He found traditional education was uninspiring. I felt the same way. I was just zoning out all the time. And he actually left school to pursue art and filmmaking. And you can find this exact quote at the Walt Disney Family Museum. I found this really personally inspiring. He experienced multiple business failures before creating the Walt Disney Company. On biography.com, you'll find a source that says his first company, Laugh-O-Gram Studio, went bankrupt before he moved to California. His ADHD strengths. He was a visionary of imagination. He turned imaginative ideas into groundbreaking films and parks. He also was known to hyper-focus on creative projects. He would restlessly work on projects, even sleeping in his studio to perfect animations. And back then, animations took a lot longer than they do now. Can you imagine the amount of work he had to put in to do all that? The American Experience and PBS say that he would spend nights working tirelessly on storyboarding and animation to ensure perfection. I can relate to that a lot because I have very high standards for myself. It's almost impossible to reach it. Can't imagine how he would have felt. Lastly, he had innovative storytelling techniques. He basically revolutionized animation with synchronized sound from Steamboat Willie and full-length animated films like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Dwarfs. Number 2, hold it, Leonardo da Vinci, known for his masterpiece of the Mona Lisa and the Last Supper. But he wasn't just an artist, he was doing so many things. He conceptualized designs for flying machines before anyone in the world did, armored vehicles, also anatomy, just probably one of the most talented people to ever live. Produced the most accurate anatomical drawings ever in history that surgeons use today. This guy was not a doctor. He had 2 major ADHD challenges. His wide array of interests often led him to shift focus between projects, resulting in numerous unfinished works. Oh my God. For instance, his painting, The Adoration of the Magi, remained incomplete. He was also a perfectionist, which led him to, what's that magic word? Procrastinate. His pursuit of perfection caused delays and left many artworks unfinished. Excuse me if I pronounce this wrong. The Battle of Anghiari Fresco was abandoned due to technical challenges and his dissatisfaction with the work. This is like reaching into my brain right now. His ADHD strengths. He had innovative thinking beyond anything we've ever seen. His ability to think outside the box led to groundbreaking inventions and artistic techniques. His sketches were centuries ahead of time. He was basically known to blend art and science in a way that was just unheard of. Cool fact, his study in anatomy actually enhanced the realism of his paintings. So he could understand how to paint like someone's arm with like their veins or their skin because he studied anatomy. It's just brilliant. He combined techniques. Thomas Edison. This guy held over 1,000 patents. This is the guy who created the light bulb. This is so inspiring. Not only that, but he also developed the very first industrial research laboratory. He had barely any education. His mom basically homeschooled him. He only had 3 months of traditional schooling before he left. His ADHD challenges. 1, formal education struggles. This keeps showing up. This makes me feel so heard when I was a kid. Like I did not know this. Like all of my teachers talked about these amazing people, but they left out that little detail that these people struggled with the very education teaching me about these people. So Edison's short attention span and inquisitive nature led to difficulties in traditional schooling. He struggled in school and his mom pulled him out after 3 months of being in school because he struggled so badly. His second struggle was he had this kind of restless vibe when it came to experimenting constantly. And it led to hazardous situations like fires here and there because he didn't really know what he was doing. I literally just posted a video on the 7 scary things about people with ADHD. I didn't see anything about fires on there, but I could see how this could happen really easily. His ADHD strengths. He was persistent with problem solving. That's super relatable to me. His determination and refusal to accept failure led to significant inventions. He famously conducted thousands of experiments before successfully inventing the practical light bulb. Just thousands. As people with ADHD, we are problem solvers. We do not stop thinking and solving problems. And if we set our eyes on something, we don't stop till we reach that goal. This guy tried thousands of times to get the light bulb right, and he eventually got it. His second ADHD strength was that he had very innovative learning methods. Despite not going to school, Edison was self-taught. He utilized books, hands-on experiments, and he took this initiative where he believed that his education was his own responsibility. He did everything he could to just jump into the learning process of things. I know for me, I'll read a book and I won't do anything about it. But when I finally do actually take action on it and experiment with it in my own life, I feel like I don't have to read as many books because I'm gaining experience that's actually teaching me a whole lot more. Number 4, Albert Einstein. He was the physicist who developed the theory of relativity and altered our entire understanding of time and space. He was awarded the Nobel Prize in 1921 for his photoelectric effect. And he published over 300 scientific papers. Do you not see that having ADHD is a superpower? Like when you have it under your control and you find out what works for you, look at what we can do. We hyper-focus on these things. It's amazing. Cool fact about Albert Einstein, he was known for his messy appearance, slow speech as a child, and he had a very rebellious attitude towards structured learning, which he found rigid and uninspiring. Yet again, disinterest in traditional schooling. All of these people, they struggled in school. It's just crazy to think about that. They struggled with social norms and with education. Like, this is blowing my mind. His ADHD challenges. He was expelled from school for a rebellious behavior. Problem number 2 and 3 was forgetfulness and disorganization. He would misplace things every day. He would think that items would wander aimlessly, and he was lost in thought constantly. He would basically completely rely on his assistant to help him track all these different basic aspects of his life. So he figured out how to make his ADHD work for him. That's probably one of the most underrated intelligent things about Albert Einstein was he managed his potential ADHD before anyone else did. It's crazy. His ADHD strengths. One was that he had relentless curiosity. His fascination with abstract problems led to groundbreaking theories that revolutionized science completely. So he went along with his thoughts when he would zone out, and he'd turn them into problem solving somehow, which led to his second strength, creative problem solving. He thought very visually and unconventionally, right? So doing that contributed to insights that defended classical physics. He would actually name these times where he would think like this, thought experiments, and he would call them combinatory play. So he's basically using it to his advantage to zone out and think about things and solve those problems in his head. Absolutely amazing. This one will get you. Number 5, Mozart. This guy created over 600 works, right? Including symphonies, operas, and chamber music. He was a child prodigy, so he was very, very smart as a kid. At 8 years old, he toured Europe performing his first symphony ever. At 8 years old. He did have ADHD challenges. One was impulsivity. So his letters are filled with playful and erratic humor, often inappropriate or unexpected, which reflected his impulsive tendencies. So this guy was joking around constantly, having fun, being very playful, but he used it to his advantage to be creative. His second challenge was that he was hyperactive. So yeah, you gotta have that. Basically, he was very restless with his energy. He would move a lot, kind of like fidget, you know. This is just so interesting to imagine Mozart having ADHD. It's just, it blows my mind. He did have strengths that led him to where he was. One was hyperfocus. This guy would spend hours and hours and hours on his music. I used to do that when I was a music artist. Like, I used to love spending just nonstop time, not eating, drinking water, or going to the bathroom at all. He was also this absolute creative genius. His unconventional structures and innovative compositions, such as the magic flute and Requiem, pushed the boundaries of classical music. Just absolutely breathtakingly amazing. These people. If you think that's impressive, let's go to number 6, Nikola Tesla. This guy basically made electricity what it is today. Without him, we wouldn't have electricity at all, like what we have today. He also created the Tesla coil, which is used in radios and TVs today, which of course inspired us to get to the internet and Wi-Fi and all that. So without him, we wouldn't have anything we have today, which is nuts. And he conceptualized wireless energy transfer and wireless communication. There'd be no Verizon without him. Just saying. He basically created Verizon. Fun fact about Nikola Tesla, he had this very eccentric behavior. He was very meticulous in his habits, constantly inventing things. But he did struggle with some ADHD challenges. One was restlessness and overwhelm from ideas. Oh my gosh, I feel your pain, Tesla. And no, he didn't make Tesla motors. Nikola Tesla claimed his mind was a raging storm of continuous invention. He visualized and designed complete machines in his mind, often becoming consumed by new ideas and abandoning old ones. Nikola Tesla, my man. You're not alone, my friend. His second and third struggles were hyperactivity, and you guessed it, sleeplessness. Listen to this. He apparently worked 84 hours without rest. And he was actually famously known to sleep only 2 hours a day. I can't do that. But he also had ADHD strengths which led him to where he is today. One was his ability to visualize and imagine things. He invented complex devices without drafting any blueprints. He saw fully operational machines in his mind before even building them. Like, this is nuts. His second strength was he was able to hyperfocus, right? That's a clear, this guy has ADHD. His third strength was that he was really good at risk taking. So his radical ideas like wireless power, what is that? Were ahead of his time, but paved the way for modern wireless technology. So you know Wi-Fi? You know what that is? Yeah, that was basically inspired by Nikola Tesla. Imagine like electricity is just barely coming out. There's no such thing as internet. There's not really anything out there that's electrical. And this guy's already creating wireless technology. And people are calling him crazy. What is that? What are we gonna do with this? A family plan? What's that? Like, for what? Call someone? I use pigeon mail. Dude, get with the times. And last but not least, number 7, Ben Franklin. And let me tell you why he's an amazing pick for this. This guy helped draft the Declaration of Independence and the US Constitution. He created the lightning rod, the Franklin stove, and oh yeah, glasses. This guy created the bifocals. Like, if you can read today because of glasses, thank Ben Franklin. I don't know if this means everyone was wearing a monocle before that. I mean, we would have looked real fancy. Cool fact about Ben Franklin, he had multiple interests just like Leonardo Da Vinci. He'd be interested in politics and science and journalism, and he just kind of mesh things together in his mind, constantly thinking. And I've also heard that he was very, very interesting with his sleep schedule. Like, he would sleep and wake up at random times of the day to work on things. And he did struggle with ADHD challenges, which were 1, time management, and I'll say 2, procrastination. He was known for delaying projects, and he constantly joked about his tendency to delay resolutions in his autobiography. Wow, he's like known for this. And 3, he had an impulsivity in personal decisions. His experiments included flying a kite in a thunderstorm, which I'm sure you've seen, and that literally could have been fatal. Only someone with ADHD would do that. And he did have ADHD strengths. 1 was that he was restlessly curious, always trying to create things and understand things. 2 is that he hyper-focused on experiments. Like, he had this radical fascination with electricity, and he was just super, super relentless about experimenting with it. Like, imagine seeing lightning and being like, I want to be around that all the time. And his last strength was creative problem solving. So basically, he would just be really, really creative all the time. He experimented with lightning. Like, what sane person without ADHD would look at lightning and say, I want to play with that? Like and subscribe to this channel if you liked the video so far. I would love to hear which person surprised you most. If you're curious about ADHD coaching to become more like these people or get free productivity tools for your ADHD, click the link in the description below. And if you like this video, you're going to really love this video, which is very similar styled to this. Later, neighbors.